When I was young, I always felt a little bit awkward, like I was the ugly duckling. I remember one day, it was such a hot day, and I actually really wanted to wear a skirt to school, but it's something I didn't dare to do because I had a lot of hair on my legs, and that was a boy's thing, which I wanted to hide. But my mom that day came up to me saying, "Shari, you look beautiful and you deserve to wear a skirt just like all the other girls do." Now, my dad never really got involved in my beauty things in the days, but that morning he also affirmed that I was indeed beautiful and that I should be wearing that skirt. Now, I was 10, maybe 11, so you can imagine that my parents played a big part in my life. And so I did. I wore the skirt, and I remember going to school and seeing how all of my classmates and actually all of the students in school were already in the playgrounds. And one of my classmates comes up to me and he shouts in front of the entire school, "You look like a monkey." And everyone started laughing and I just shrunk. I got learned at a very young age that it was very unsafe for me to show myself. And I told myself in that moment, I swore to never show my ugly sides ever again. Now, this is not a story on me being ugly. In the next 7 minutes or so, I want to invite you into the possibility that the quality of your sex life depends on how worthy and how deserving you feel. It doesn't depend on the new tricks or new techniques that you might learn. It really comes down to you feeling worthy and deserving. My name is Shari van Craen. I'm a sexuality coach and a boudoir photographer. And as I was growing up, I was just a normal kid with 2 loving parents and an older brother I absolutely adored. I had my fair share of bullying. And apart from that story where I was called a monkey, another incident happened later on when I was in high school, where I started feeling a little bit more confident and beautiful again. And I remember leaning forward in my classroom onto a bench, and I realized my bum was sticking out. And I thought, I must look sexy. Not for the sake of being sexy, but just like this instant idea that I had. And right in that moment, one of my classmates shouts in front of the entire classroom again, "You have a big fat ass." And again, I got hurt in that same vulnerability. So I got taught at a very young age that it was not safe for me to show myself, to be myself, to feel pretty. I learned to disconnect from my body, and I started proving my worth, not just by getting 1 master's degrees in uni, but 2 master's degrees. And I started working my way up at the corporate ladder at Nike. Now, in the boardroom, I was doing fine. In the bedroom, I was doing fine, you know? Then later on in my corporate era, I remember going to a Tony Robbins event in Las Vegas, and a complete stranger walks up to me and recommends me to read a book. Now, I was a little surprised because who are you and why would you recommend me to read a book if you don't even know me? And out of all of the titles that book could have had, it was called Pussy. Now you can imagine that back in the days, I was quite shocked by hearing this title. Yet, I took notes. And when I was back home, I ordered all of the things that I got recommended because I was a good girl and I was sure that it would lead me to some sort of success in my career, right? Back home, I read the book cover to cover in just a few days. And it brought me to tears. It brought me to tears because it made me realize how I had been living in this female body for 27 years without really knowing what it meant to be in a female body, to be a woman. The only thing I had learned is to disconnect from it, to be ashamed about it, to put myself in the shadow of others who were, so to speak, prettier than I was. I wasn't cheering on my sisters. I wasn't cheering on myself. I basically had everything to make it in this man's world. Yet there was this constant doubt, this constant voice that was questioning what was wrong with me. Why was I not more prettier? And it's after reading that book and after tuning in with my actual pussy, actually, that I realized that the goddess could have made everything, yet she decided to give me this exact body. So why was I hating on it that much? And after reading this book, I had an epiphany, and it was a rather unusual one, I must say. All of a sudden, I had this clarity that I needed to do a photo shoot, and not just a photo shoot. I wanted to do a naked photo shoot, to really reclaim my beauty, reclaim my body, and feel the power within. And it felt very edgy for me. I, back in the days, didn't even know there was a whole scene of photographers dedicated to what we call boudoir photography, the more intimate and sexy photography. And so I reached out to this photographer who I admired for her arts. And to be honest, it felt super edgy. It was so out of my comfort zone, but I really wanted to follow my desire and what my intuition was telling me. And so I did. I shared my story, and she felt so inspired that indeed she didn't have experience with this kind of photography, but she was fully in. And so we did it. And it changed the way I related to my body completely. And here's what I learned. By attuning to my pussy, it led me through this amazing self-confidence and self-love, and I reclaimed my power by seeing my own photos through the lens of someone else. By seeing how other people see me, I got to see the beauty that I have within and what I radiate to the people around me. And so I basically started radiating, I started shining, I started inspiring others, and my sex life, that was going on fire. And after that, I decided to buy my own camera because I wanted to give the gift that I had given myself to others, to the women around me. And so I invited friends over, I invited women that I knew over for photo shoots, and I captured their beauty. I saw them transform in front of my eyes. Their bodies started softening, their nervous system started relaxing, and it was so beautiful to watch. And then later on, as I dove more into pleasure, into the practices that pussy really taught me, I started delivering that as well and including it in my photo shoots. And yet even more people started transforming, and it was magical to see this. As a sexuality coach and boudoir photographer that I am today, here's what I know is possible for you and for the world. The moment you start reclaiming your power and your beauty, that's when you start living a turned-on life. Now with this, I don't mean that you orgasm at the smallest thing because you get turned on. No, a turn on is when you say yes to life and it says yes right back at you. It's this moment where you follow all of your yes and you go less into the You'll feel more aligned and you will discern between your yum and your yuck. And that is the magic of living a turned on life. And here's how you can get started. I'd like to invite you to look at your own hand, see it from a very functional level. This is a tool you use every day, in and out. And then switch lens and see if you can switch from seeing it as something ordinary and look at it from a place of devotion. Like this is the most beautiful thing you've ever laid eyes on, even though you see it all the time. Now, can you imagine what happens when you start doing this to your entire body, to your genitals, to yourself? Can you already feel that shift? And then imagine what that does to your lovemaking when you start seeing the body of your loving in that way from a place of devotion. Now, my biggest wish, my biggest desire even for you and for the world is for you to understand that stories shape us. And that at any given time, we can change the story that we tell ourselves and what we identify with. I used to be an ugly duckling, and now I'm a healthy and wealthy woman inspiring people globally to have the best sex of their life, to feel confident in their body and to shine and radiate from within. This is the identity that I live by. This is my reality. What is yours? Thank you.